Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
Have you ever wondered why so many people wait for the perfect moment to act, while winners seem to create it? What if consistency, not motivation, was the real secret that separates success from failure? And what if the small, unseen things you do daily are either sharpening you or slowly breaking you down? The truth is, consistency isn't about waiting until you feel ready. It's about becoming ready through action. Without it, talent fades, dreams die, and progress resets. Your mind must learn to move first, not your mood, not your motivation. You show up no matter what, rain or shine, tired or energized. That's how you break limits. That's how you win. Force it, repeat it, own your results. You'll never master anything until you do it daily, without excuses and without quitting. You may think talent alone will carry you, but talent without discipline becomes a curse. Many start strong, full of ambition and energy, but few return the next day, and even fewer repeat with purpose. Mastery isn't born in the first hour, it is sculpted in the 1,000. Those who succeed are not always the smartest. They are the ones who keep showing up. They don't wait for motivation. They rely on habit. They trust repetition like a seed trusts water, and over time, growth happens, slowly, silently, until one day it breaks through the ground. So ask yourself, what do you do daily without fail? Is it sharpening you or softening you? You say you want to grow, to lead, to win. But will you return to your craft tomorrow when no one applauds? Will you come back the day after, when your effort feels invisible? Picture this. You strike a stone with a hammer. Once, twice, 100 times, nothing. Then on the 101st hit, it shatters. But those first 100 mattered just as much. What might happen in your life if you kept striking, even when nothing seemed to change? The pain of discipline is always less than the pain of regret. You wake up tired and skip your task, promising to try again tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes a week, then a year, until one day you look back and wonder why life feels the same. The truth is simple. What you ignore today will punish you tomorrow. Discipline isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the fire that burns laziness out of you. The sooner you feel that fire, the sooner you rise from it, reborn into strength. People complain discipline is hard, but regret is far harder. Regret whispers when you're alone, shows up in missed chances, weaker bodies, and unfulfilled dreams. Regret is the interest you pay for every excuse. But you can escape it by choosing short-term discomfort for long-term power, trading the pleasure of now for the legacy of later. So which fire will you walk through? The one that builds you, or the one that burns your future? Picture this. One person trains daily and grows strong, while another rests and waits for weekends. 10 years pass. Which one would you rather be? Every decision today stacks up. What kind of tomorrow are you buying? You don't need more time. You need more focus. Everyone has the same 24 hours. No more, no less. Time isn't the problem. The real challenge is focus. Your energy is scattered, your attention fractured. You mistake motion for progress, staying busy without moving forward. Time slips through your fingers when you're not intentional. You don't need more hours. You need clarity, direction, and intention. When attention is lost, time becomes your enemy. But when attention is mastered, time becomes your greatest tool. Look closely at your day, the half-done tasks, the abandoned plans. Notice how often your mind jumps from one thing to the next. You start, stop, and switch. You're not lazy, you're divided. Potential leaks away through distraction. No app or planner can fix it. The answer is sealing the holes in your focus. A scattered man builds nothing lasting. More time won't save you, and a better schedule won't transform you. Only a higher standard will. Choosing what not to do is how you reclaim your day. Most people don't lack drive, they lack clarity. They chase everything and catch nothing. But the one who cuts away the noise moves forward, not faster, but with true direction. Direction gives speed its power. Without it, you run in circles. But when you focus, not halfway, not sometimes, but fully, you transform. You become sharper, lighter, more exact. You start building instead of scrambling. With singular attention, progress multiplies, and time itself seems to stretch in your favor. 1 hour of deep work can be worth 10 hours of distraction. Real power isn't built by doing more. It's built by doing what matters most, deeply and without interruption. Successful people aren't superhuman. They don't have more hours. They simply guard their focus like treasure. They wake up knowing what must be done, and they do it. No debate, no delay. Their priorities are non-negotiable. They understand that every yes to distraction is a no to greatness. So they cut away the noise, simplify, and execute. That's discipline. That's clarity. And clarity is power. Now imagine this. You commit today. You silence the noise, drop the distractions, and lock onto one goal for just 7 days. One focused week could change everything. Your progress, your confidence, your rhythm. You might even wonder why you ever lived divided. Because greatness was never waiting for more time. It was waiting for you to choose. You don't need extra hours. You need a line in the sand. A moment when you stop being busy and start being deliberate. Your energy is limited, so treat it like gold. Give it only to what makes you grow. Ask yourself, what am I willing to give up to go all in? The strongest aren't the ones with more time. They're the ones who use every minute like it matters. Because it does. Your identity is written by what you do consistently. You are not what you say, or even what you intend. You are what you do, not once, not twice, but daily. Every repeated act writes your identity in ink. You become the sum of your habits, your patterns, your unseen repetitions. A single decision may start the journey, but discipline to continue defines who you are becoming. Talk is smoke. Action is fire. What are you really building? Too many wait for inspiration. Believing greatness starts when they feel ready. But waiting for motivation is a trap. It fades. It lies. What matters is repetition. Start before you're ready. Do it again and again until doubt dies and action takes over. When you do something often enough, it becomes natural. The secret isn't feeling inspired. The secret is showing up, even when you don't. Ask yourself, are you living your identity or only claiming it? You call yourself a writer, but do you write daily? You say you're disciplined, but do your routines prove it? You can fool others with words, but never the mirror. The mirror reflects behavior, not intent. It never lies. Day after day, it reveals who you truly are. Character isn't formed in declarations, but in repetition. Act like a leader consistently, and you become one. Think and act like a quitter, even in small ways, and that's what you'll be. Life isn't fooled by words. It mirrors your dominant patterns. Your choices carve grooves in your mind and soul, and those grooves shape your destiny. What are you practicing right now, strength or avoidance? Are you building resilience or excuses? Every action you take is a seed. Every habit is a path. Step back and examine what you're rehearsing, because that is who you'll become. Every choice matters. Every repetition writes a line in the script of your future. Picture this. Someone walks into a room with upright posture, calm eyes, and a presence that commands respect. You might think they were born that way, but you're wrong. They trained it. They chose that walk, that voice, that self-control every single day. You can do the same, but it requires daily integrity. Becoming isn't a single moment. It's a series of repetitions done when no one is watching. Excitement doesn't build character. Emotion doesn't last. True shaping happens in the quiet hours when you don't feel like it, but you do it anyway. That's where strength is built. That's where discipline is born. So ask yourself honestly, are your daily choices making you proud? Because if not, they're shaping someone you may not recognize or respect. Choose carefully. You are what you repeat. The real power comes from showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. There will be mornings when your body feels heavy, when your bed seems like the safest place on earth, and every part of you whispers, just rest, just today. There will be days when motivation disappears, when your energy is low, and your goals feel far away. But those are not the days to give in. Those are the days that count most, because anyone can move when it's easy. The real battle is won on the days when it isn't easy. True greatness isn't built on perfect mornings. It's forged through hard decisions. When you act despite feeling tired, uncertain, or uninspired, something powerful is born. That's the difference between the one who dreams of change and the one who creates it. Most people move only when they feel like it. Champions move anyway. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about presence. One day at a time. Even on the hard days. Even when everything inside you says, skip it. That's where transformation lives. If you wait only for inspiration, you'll stay inconsistent. But if you commit to showing up no matter how imperfectly, You build an identity that won't break under pressure. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be willing. Willing to act without waiting. Willing to push without perfect conditions. Because if you wait for the mood, you'll wait forever. If you wait for motivation, you'll remain stuck. But when you decide, deep and unshakable, that nothing will stop you, you stop negotiating with your weaker self. That's when life begins to shift. Progress isn't an idea or a feeling. It's an action. Momentum isn't built by wishing, reading quotes, or planning every detail. It's built by doing. Even the smallest step taken in low energy is infinitely stronger than the perfect plan never acted on. Discipline doesn't demand strength. It only asks that you keep moving one step at a time. Now picture this. A person training when their legs ache, when their muscles scream. They read even when their eyes are heavy. They prepare for the future while others sleep. They don't win every battle, but they show up for every fight. And that daily presence is where true strength is built. Not flashy, not loud, but quietly and relentlessly consistent. The real test comes in the shadows, when no one is watching, when the applause is gone. Will you keep moving then, or will you fold? You don't rise by being inspired once. You rise by refusing to quit. You may fall down, but you don't stay there. You stand back up. And each time you do, even with shaky hands and tired eyes, you grow stronger. So ask yourself, will you act when the fire is gone? Will you honor your promise when it's hard, or keep resetting the clock, trapped in the endless cycle of starting over? Success belongs to those who stay, who endure, who rise even when nothing around them gives encouragement. That's the truth no one wants to admit. The real secret isn't talent, luck, or even inspiration. It's this: keep showing up no matter what. That's how everything changes. That's how you change. You are always training for something, whether you realize it or not. Every day you practice habits, brick by brick, step by step. Every thought you entertain, every word you speak, every action you take, these aren't isolated moments. They are repetitions, and repetition shapes identity. So ask yourself, what are you rehearsing? Because your life is being built by what you repeat, not by what you wish. Many people unknowingly train laziness, choosing comfort, avoiding challenge, and dismissing effort. They say, I'll do it later, again and again, until it becomes their way of life. They never intended to be weak, but repeating the same patterns long enough made weakness their default. Repetition doesn't care about intentions, it only multiplies actions. Over time, avoidance becomes your training ground, but others choose strength on purpose. They rise early even when tired, push through setbacks without collapsing, and delay gratification, knowing growth lives in discomfort. They don't wait to feel ready, they train to be ready. Slowly, strength becomes automatic. Discipline becomes second nature, because the more you practice the right thing, the more it becomes who you are, not just what you do. Excellence isn't a lightning bolt. It doesn't strike in a single moment. It's built quietly, daily, through small acts done with care. That extra rep, that disciplined choice, that decision to try again. Exceptional people treat ordinary moments like they matter, because they do. They understand every repetition is a vote for the person they want to become. Think about the farmer. He doesn't expect to harvest the day he plants the seed. He tills the soil, waters the ground, and waits for weeks, sometimes months. Nothing seems to happen, yet growth takes root beneath the surface. And when the season is right, the crops rise, not suddenly, but inevitably, because he trained the field with patience and care. You are no different. Your mind is the soil, your habits are the seeds. What you repeat consistently is what you will eventually become. So examine your routines, your thoughts, your reactions. Are they building strength and discipline, or reinforcing distraction, chaos, and delay? Every habit you keep is either sharpening you or dulling you. Every moment is a choice, and every choice is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. Over time, the picture becomes clear. Are you painting with purpose or with passivity? Are you shaping a masterpiece of strength and clarity, or sketching circles of doubt and stagnation? You don't rise by luck. You rise by design. One stroke, one act, repeated with intention. You are always training, whether you realize it or not. The only question is, what are you training for? You cannot escape repetition, so use it. Choose it. Let even the smallest actions speak for you. Train for the life you want. Practice being the person you admire, because practice becomes identity, and identity becomes destiny. No one is coming to save you, and that's your greatest advantage. It's tempting to wait, to hope someone will bring the spark, the support, or the solution you think you need. Maybe a mentor, a partner, or a lucky break. But here's the truth. No one is coming. And that's not a tragedy. It's the start of your strength. Because when you stop waiting, you start becoming. When you stop reaching outward and begin reaching inward, transformation begins. The strongest people you know, the ones who rise against all odds, didn't wait for rescue. They acted first, found clarity in motion, and took responsibility. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. That's where true power is born. Maybe life didn't deal you the best cards. Maybe you faced setbacks, unfair moments, or heartbreak. But the cards are still in your hands, and how you play them is entirely yours. Many waste time wishing for a new hand, better parents, more resources, fewer problems. Winners don't. They master the cards they're dealt. And in mastering, they find freedom. When you finally stop waiting for someone else to fix things, everything shifts. Your energy changes, your choices sharpen, and your hours stop bleeding into empty hope. Instead, you pour them into effort. Suddenly, you move with clarity, with direction, and with purpose, because it's no longer about being saved, it's about leading your own life. Now picture this, two people. One waits for the perfect moment, for a sign, for support. The other starts with what they have, even if it's small. A year passes. One is still waiting, still dreaming. The other has momentum, stronger, wiser, more capable. Not because they had more, but because they did more with less. The myth says you need others to believe in you first. The truth is, you need to believe in effort. You must believe that even when it's hard, action still works. Even when no one cheers, progress still happens. Success doesn't require luck, it requires work. And work is always within reach, even when resources aren't. So ask yourself, are you truly moving forward, or just standing still and calling it waiting? Because waiting can feel deceptively active, but unless it's backed by action, it's just delay disguised as a plan. Hope is good, but hope without action is a prison. And once again, no one is coming. Let that sink in, not to scare you, but to free you. If no one is coming, then nothing is stopping you. You don't need permission, applause, or perfect timing. You need to begin. That's where your story changes, not in rescue, but in responsibility. The power lies in realizing you are it. You are the rescuer you've been waiting for, the backup, the support system. And while it doesn't mean you'll walk alone forever, it does begin with you. Your first decision, your first action, your refusal to wait one more day. When you embrace that truth, you stop searching for shortcuts. You stop blaming. You stop wondering why no one else helps. Instead, you start building. Brick by brick, day by day, weakness turns into strength, confusion into clarity, all because you finally decided, I'm done waiting. This isn't despair. This is birth, of identity, of direction, of life itself. And when you finally show up fully, the world begins to shift, one step at a time, one act at a time. Now it's your turn. The first step is rarely perfect, but it's always necessary. You want the entire map before the journey, every outcome guaranteed, security that you won't fail or stumble. But life doesn't offer guarantees. It offers opportunity, disguised as effort. Waiting to feel ready is a trap that keeps you frozen while time rushes forward. The moment you're waiting for isn't coming. The only real moment is the one you create now. Most people waste years waiting for courage, clarity, or perfect conditions. But perfection never arrives. It's built through movement. Those who succeed aren't the ones who plan endlessly. They're the ones who begin. Progress is never born in stillness. It comes from motion. And the only thing you truly need is the decision to start, imperfectly, but powerfully. The first version will be clumsy. The first effort may not impress, but perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. You don't learn by thinking. You learn by doing. No writer produces a masterpiece on the first draft. No builder lays bricks with flawless symmetry the first time. The difference between those who grow and those who don't is simple. One group moves, the other waits. You don't need to know everything. You don't need a polished plan. What you need is the courage to begin, even when it's messy, even when it's uncertain, even when your hands tremble. The path reveals itself only after the first step. Improvement comes through experience, clarity is born from action, and greatness doesn't arrive fully formed. It's sharpened through effort. Picture a sculptor facing a block of stone. Rough, shapeless, unremarkable. Nothing about it screams masterpiece. But the sculptor doesn't wait for the stone to reveal its form. He picks up his chisel and begins. With every strike, he chips away what doesn't belong. Through patience and vision, he brings beauty out of chaos. Not because it looked right at the beginning, but because he was willing to start. The same is true for you. You are the sculptor of your future. If you never pick up the tools, your mind, your body, your time, it remains a shapeless possibility. No one else can carve it for you. No amount of planning replaces action. At some point, you must put down the blueprint and start building. The only way forward is through. So ask yourself, what have you delayed in the name of readiness? What dream is locked away behind endless preparation? How many goals have you pushed aside because you told yourself it wasn't the right time? The truth is, the right time is a myth. You make it right by starting anyway. If you never begin, you'll never grow. Failure isn't falling, it's standing still. It's watching another month, another year, another chapter of your life pass while you plan and wait. But every small step you take, even uncertainly, builds momentum. That momentum creates belief, and belief shapes mastery. If you want progress, stop waiting, stop perfecting, stop rehearsing your dream, and start living it. Let the first attempt be messy, let it be awkward, but let it exist. From that rough beginning, everything becomes possible. A small start is worth more than a flawless plan that never leaves the page. Start, then adjust. That's how real builders think. They don't ask, is it ready? They ask, what can I build with what I have now? They move, they test, they fail forward. And every adjustment makes them sharper, faster, better. That's how success is born, not from readiness, but from willingness. You will never be fully ready. You don't need to be fully ready. What you need is trust in your ability to learn, adapt, and grow as you go. Progress rewards action, not hesitation. The road rises to meet you, but only if you walk it. So walk it, begin today. Begin messy if you must, but begin. You build trust with yourself through proof, not promises. Confidence doesn't come from compliments or applause. It isn't given, it's earned by keeping your own word. Every time you follow through on a promise, you lay a small brick of trust. Not trust from the outside world, but something far stronger, trust in yourself. And with that inner trust, you move through life with a quiet certainty no one can shake. Many people feel lost, unmotivated, or unsure, not because they're weak, but because they've broken their own word too many times. They've said, I'll start tomorrow, and didn't. They've promised, I'll stay consistent, and quit. Eventually, the mind stops believing. But here's the good news. You can rebuild that trust. Not in one day, not with a single grand gesture, but slowly, daily, by doing exactly what you said you would. You don't need perfection. You don't need drama. You need honesty and consistency. That's how the foundation of self-confidence is laid. Not by seeking validation from others, but by becoming someone whose word means something. Think about it. You tell yourself you'll wake up early tomorrow and train. And then you do. Maybe you're tired. Maybe the session isn't perfect, but you showed up. That small act, invisible to most, creates a shift. You walk differently. You speak with more certainty. Why? Because your actions finally match your intent. Each act of consistency is like honoring a contract. You promised and you delivered. No cheering crowd, no spotlight, just quiet follow-through. And that's where real strength is built. Not the kind that shows off, but the kind that endures, even when no one is watching. Strength that lasts. So ask yourself, what promises are you making, and which ones are you truly keeping? Are your words just noise, or are they instructions you actually follow? If your own voice carries no weight in your life, nothing else will. It's not about being harsh on yourself. It's about respecting yourself enough to keep your word. You don't need others to believe in you. You need to believe in yourself. And that belief isn't magic. It's built step by step, quietly, through action. Every time you show up, whether the task is boring, painful, or unnoticed, you prove to yourself, I can count on me. That simple message rewires your identity. Confidence doesn't come from comfort. It grows from effort, from discipline, from walking through resistance again and again, even when it's inconvenient, even when nobody's watching. Especially then. Those are the moments that shape a person who trusts himself, someone whose actions speak louder than any words. The opposite is also true. Every broken promise chips away at your strength. Your mind remembers. The next time you set a goal, your subconscious whispers, "We've been here before, you'll quit again." And that whisper is powerful enough to kill momentum before it even begins. That's why your word to yourself must remain sacred. It's not about grand gestures. It's about the small ones. Saying you'll write for 10 minutes and actually doing it. Promising you'll stretch and showing up. These aren't trivial acts. They are the seeds of a trustworthy self. A person who can't rely on their own word will always live under the shadow of doubt. But someone who delivers on what they declare, that person becomes unstoppable. Don't wait to feel confident. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait at all. Just do what you said you would. Do it when it's boring. Do it when you're tired. Do it when the results are slow. Because every time you act in alignment with your own words, you rise. You build. You reshape your identity from the inside out. Real confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's quiet. Formed in the early mornings no one notices. In the repetitions no one applauds. It grows each time you show up for yourself. Every time you honor even the smallest promise. That's how you become unshakable. That's how you walk into the world undeniable. So today, return to those promises. The small ones buried under excuses. Keep them. Then tomorrow, keep them again. No drama. No perfection, just consistency. Because when your word becomes law in your life, confidence stops being a fleeting feeling and becomes your foundation. Consistency makes you powerful because it makes you predictable to yourself. There's a quiet strength that comes from this predictability. Not in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. When you know deep in your bones that you will show up, no matter how tired, unmotivated, or distracted, you become inevitable. You don't need to be the loudest or the fastest. Your edge is simple. You always appear, you always move, you always follow through. Most people run on mood. They act when it feels good and retreat when it gets hard. Their actions depend on circumstance, not commitment. But not you. If you shift from mood to principle, everything changes. You stop being ruled by highs and lows. You don't wait to feel right. You decide what's right and follow through. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you unstoppable in the best way. You cannot control life's storms, and you cannot control how others act or how they treat you. You can't control the storms of life or the obstacles that appear on your path. But you can control one thing, your presence. You decide whether to show up, stay consistent, and finish what you start. In a world full of uncertainty, steadiness becomes your superpower. And here's the truth. The longer you keep showing up, the stronger you become. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. You begin to trust yourself because you've built a history of follow-through. Others will notice, but what matters most is that you notice. You'll walk with more confidence, speak with greater conviction, because there's no hesitation in someone who keeps promises to themselves. Imagine what life would look like if you became your own guarantee. No matter the day, the weather, or the chaos, you still did what needed to be done. What if you stopped negotiating with your excuses? What if you no longer asked, "Will I do it today?" because you already knew the answer? That certainty isn't luck, it's a choice. You wouldn't chase perfect timing anymore. You'd trust your habits. Predictability wouldn't just be admired by others. It would become the core of your identity. You'd stop hoping for consistency and start being consistent. The beauty of that power is that it multiplies. Each day you show up makes the next day easier. Predictability isn't about being robotic, it's about becoming reliable. The strongest people aren't those who never fail, but those who rise again after setbacks, who move forward even when things fall apart. They're not unbreakable. They simply refuse to be broken. That's the gift predictability gives you. Unstoppable forward motion. When your actions grow stronger than your excuses, nothing can stop you. You stop asking the wrong questions, stop bargaining with your goals, and stop depending on outside motivation. Instead, you build something far greater, integrity. That integrity becomes your compass, your fire, the reason you rise even on the hardest days. Most people are mysteries to themselves. One day disciplined, the next in pieces, their identity shifting with every passing wind. But when you choose to be predictable, you stop being a question mark. You become a force, a man who can be counted on. By others, yes, but most importantly, by yourself. That's rare. That's power. So ask yourself now, are you someone you can count on? Or are you still waiting to feel like it? The world doesn't wait for hesitation. It moves with those who move, whether ready or not. And your greatest edge isn't talent. It's the decision to keep moving, step after step, day after day. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being reliable. It's about letting your habits speak louder than your doubts. It's about waking up knowing you'll act regardless of how you feel. That kind of predictability builds momentum, momentum builds confidence, and confidence builds everything else. Decide today, will you remain a mystery, only strong when conditions are ideal? Or will you become a steady, deliberate, unstoppable force? Not because you shout or rush, but because you never stop showing up? That's real power, and it's yours to claim every single day. Progress hides in the ordinary, unseen days. It's easy to chase the highs, the wins, the breakthroughs, the flashes of clarity that feel like momentum. But the truth is, most progress is born on the quiet, forgettable days, the ones that tempt you to skip, delay, or postpone. But if you learn to show up on those quiet days, you win, because those are the days that truly build your future, even if they don't look like it. Many believe greatness is loud, wrapped in applause, fireworks, and viral moments. But real greatness is built in silence. In early mornings before the world wakes, in private choices, repeated rituals, and quiet effort no one celebrates. The most powerful growth happens when no one is watching, and even when you're unsure if it's working. That's why consistency must outlast motivation. You won't always feel inspired, energized, or focused. But if you only act when the mood is right, you'll achieve very little. Progress isn't about emotions, it's about decisions. Discipline carries you when feelings fade, and they always fade. The real question is, will you act anyway? Now picture this. Two people chase the same goal. One works only when inspiration strikes, sprinting in bursts. The other keeps working when it's hard, when they're tired, when they're bored, even when doubt whispers in their ear. 10 years later, one has stories, the other has results. That's the difference. Showing up when it's hard separates amateurs from masters. So ask yourself, do you only work when it feels good? Or do you keep going when it's dull, quiet, and thankless? Do you wait for inspiration to arrive? Or do you act as if it's already here? Because that is what true greatness requires. Not random bursts, but relentless steadiness. You don't need fireworks, you need follow-through. The dull days aren't the enemy. They're the test, the training ground. They're where most people quit, and where you set yourself apart. They're the practice reps no one wants, but everyone needs. If you can master the days that bring no reward, you become the kind of person who thrives when the stakes are high, because you're ready. Great lives aren't built in highlight reels or sprints of motivation. They're forged in unnoticed hours, in repetition, in doing what must be done again and again until the work itself shapes you. What feels boring today is preparing you to be unbreakable tomorrow. Everyone celebrates the peak moments, the promotions, the victories, but what makes those moments possible? The early mornings when you rose anyway. The late nights when you chose progress over comfort. The days you wanted to quit, but didn't. That's what forges the inner steel real success demands. Progress often hides behind boredom, in doing the same thing with no immediate payoff. But boredom isn't failure, it's process. Just like brushing your teeth won't change your smile in a day, disciplined habits take time. They require patience, repetition, and the faith to keep going when it feels like nothing is changing. The ones who last in any field, business, fitness, writing, leadership, are those who respect the routine, who see the dull days as a test of character. And they pass that test by showing up again and again, not with drama or complaints, but with a quiet decision. I do the work, no matter how I feel. So the next time a day feels dull, don't curse it or look for escape. Look for the lesson. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every plain day you endure, every repetition you refuse to skip, strengthens your foundation. And when the storm comes, when it truly matters, you'll stand firm because you trained in the shadows. In the end, success isn't built on how you perform when you're motivated. It's built on how you perform when you're not, when it's boring, invisible, or hard. The prize doesn't go to those who start fast. It goes to those who never stop, especially when no one is clapping. Make peace with the plain days. Learn to love the grind, not because it's exciting, but because it works. If you can dominate the days no one cares about, You'll own the days everyone remembers. Because repetition, quiet, disciplined, invisible repetition, is what creates mastery. That's how legends are made, one plain day at a time. What you practice in private determines what you earn in public. The world loves the highlight, the applause, the medal, the success story. But what the world sees is only the tip of the mountain. What it doesn't see, the hours, the grind, the silence, is where the real story is written. Behind every strong person lies a long trail of invisible effort. The kind of work that doesn't come with recognition, the kind no one asks about, but everyone notices in the end. Your future isn't shaped on the stage, it's shaped behind the curtain. What you do when no one is clapping defines who you are. When there's no audience, no praise, just you, your discipline, and your decisions. That's the ground where character is forged. And character always reveals itself when the pressure rises. It doesn't scream, it simply shows up prepared. People crave results. They want to be noticed, to feel like their work matters. But too many chase the applause before the preparation. They want shortcuts, quick wins, validation without earning it. But applause without substance is empty. A hollow victory is just noise. Real achievement is earned in silence and proven under pressure. So ask yourself, what do you do when no one's watching? What do you choose when no one's checking? These questions matter far more than any applause, because your true strength is revealed in your private habits. The choices you make in silence echo in the results you show in public. You can't fake what you haven't trained, and you can't rise where you haven't built. Imagine two people learning a skill. One studies for an hour, then posts about it, eager to look like they're growing. The other trains every single day, but tells no one. No spotlight, no updates, just quiet effort. A year later, one has likes, the other has results. One is admired, but the other is ready. When pressure arrives, only one stands firm. The difference isn't talent, it's repetition done in silence. Choosing the hard path daily without expecting reward is the secret most ignore. Preparation is private. Excellence isn't about proving, it's about preparing. And if you're not willing to train when no one claps, you'll never be ready when the world is watching. You must become the kind of person who sharpens in the shadows, who works while others sleep, who builds when it feels thankless. That version of you is the one that survives failure, outlasts pressure, and performs when it matters most. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall back on the depth of your preparation. That's the truth every high performer knows. Public reward is only a reflection of private effort. You may not see it right away, but over time, the work compounds. Discipline stacks. Repetition carves results so deep that no setback can shake them. The real question is, do you have the patience to keep building when no one's watching? Because that patience, that long game commitment, is rare. Most people quit when the applause fades, when results don't come fast enough, when silence feels too heavy. But greatness is born in that silence. It grows in the quiet commitment to keep going, through the boredom, the loneliness, and the grind. The irony is this. When your moment finally comes, it won't feel like a breakthrough. It will feel like just another day of doing what you've always done. Because when you've prepared long enough, success doesn't shock you or overwhelm you. It feels natural, not because it's easy, but because you're ready. So don't worry if no one sees your effort right now. Don't rush to be noticed. Focus on being steady, consistent, and trustworthy to yourself. Show up, do the work, and repeat. Even when it's invisible, especially then. The habits you build in private are the very ones that carry you under pressure. The crowd may cheer once they see results, but it's not the crowd that builds you. It's the silent hours, the unrewarded mornings, the unnoticed progress, and the decision to keep going when it's easier to quit. That's what writes your legacy. Not the moments people remember, but the ones they never see. Build quietly, train faithfully, stay steady. Every moment sharpening in the dark prepares you for the light. And when that time comes, you won't have to rise. You'll simply arrive. Strong, ready, proven. That's the truth. There's no shortcut to greatness. No hack for real success. Only patience, discipline, and private work. The kind that doesn't ask for praise, the kind that lasts. That's where greatness is built. Are you willing to go there? Because the world may see the results, but you'll know where they came from. That's what makes it real. Inside you live two voices. One urges you to rise, to push, to keep moving no matter how heavy the day feels. The other whispers to pause, to wait, to take it easy. One says, keep going. The other murmurs, it's not worth it. These voices battle daily, not once, but many times each day. And no matter how strong you feel, the winner is always the one you choose to feed. That choice belongs entirely to you. Consistency isn't a fight against time, society, or circumstances. It's a fight against yourself, against the lazy self, the fearful self, the version of you that clings to comfort, distraction, and easy escapes. This is the quiet battle most people never talk about. You may look disciplined on the outside, but inside, it's war. Every day is a chance to choose strength or surrender. You'll feel it, the pull to quit, to say, just today I'll skip. But one missed workout, one broken routine, quickly becomes a pattern that turns rest into retreat. The quitter isn't loud, it's subtle. It sneaks in disguised as reason. And it isn't defeated with one bold act or one motivated Monday. It's defeated in the grind, in repetition, in choosing the hard thing again and again, even when no one is watching. That's how the doer inside you grows, by proving each day that your will is stronger than your weakness. You don't overpower the quitter, you outlast it. Picture someone running uphill, legs heavy, breath short, every part of them screaming to stop. Yet they take another step, and then another. They don't move faster, they move forward. And in that quiet, brutal effort, something shifts. The quitter's voice weakens, and the doer grows stronger. That's how endurance is built, one hard step at a time. So ask yourself, who's winning inside you? The builder or the breaker? The one who creates routines, or the one who shatters them? The one who honors their word, or the one who bargains with excuses? The answer isn't found in your dreams, it's written in your days. In the choices you make when no one is watching, perfection isn't required. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to win more than you lose. Win today, then tomorrow, and keep stacking those days. One day you'll look back and realize you've become the kind of person who simply keeps going. That identity sticks. It speaks louder than any voice trying to drag you down. The truth is, the quitter inside you never fully disappears. It only fades when the doer keeps showing up. Keep saying yes, keep moving. Even slowly, you're training that doer like a muscle. Repetition is everything. You show up on the days you want to quit, and that is what makes you powerful. No one becomes consistent by accident. Consistency is built by winning the internal war again and again, by resisting excuses, by rejecting the pull of later. You don't wait to feel ready, you act. Tired, unmotivated, especially then, because that's where real growth lives. Every time you choose discipline over delay, you shift the balance. The doer grows louder, the quitter grows quiet. It may feel small, but it matters. Each small victory rewires your mind, builds resilience, and proves you're not ruled by impulses. You're the one who decides what wins inside. This is your challenge. Outlast your lower self. Don't aim to be superhuman. Aim to be undeniable. Win the inner war more often than not. Let your habits speak louder than your doubts. When that voice says it's too hard, answer with action. One step, one rep, one task, one win. The next time you hear it whisper, skip it. Pause and ask yourself, what do I want to be proud of tonight? What story do I want to write today? Then choose the version of you that builds, not breaks. Winners are made not in one day, but in enough days. It's not about talent or bursts of motivation. It's about repetition, about becoming the kind of person who chooses strength again and again until the weaker voice no longer runs the show. The quitter dies when the doer wins enough days. So win today, then win again tomorrow. Let the victories pile up until doubt has no room left. Many people begin with fire, excited, inspired, ready to change their lives. The first steps feel powerful, even easy, but strength isn't proven at the starting line. It's revealed in the distance. Most people quit too soon. They step off the path right before the reward, walking away just a week before the harvest. Then they wonder why life didn't pay them back. Life isn't unfair, it's honest. It doesn't reward potential, it rewards persistence. Often it tests you before it pays you. It waits and asks, will you keep going when nothing is promised, when no one is watching, when it hurts, when it's slow, when it's lonely? That's when winners are made. Those who win aren't always the most talented, the fastest learners, or the best equipped. They're simply the ones who refuse to leave. They stayed when others wandered. They worked when no one clapped. They endured the dry seasons with patience and quiet belief. And because they stayed, they grew. They received the reward not because they were special, but because they were still there when the reward arrived. Slow results are not punishment, they're preparation. Every delay is life asking, "Are you serious?" Because anyone can work hard for a week. Anyone can commit for a month. But what about when it takes longer, when it's harder, when the excitement fades and only effort remains? Most give up. But the ones who don't, those are the ones who become unstoppable. Picture this. Someone plants a tree every day. They water it, care for it, believe in it. Weeks pass, then months, and still nothing shows. But underground, unseen, roots are forming, anchoring, expanding, building strength where no eye can see. Then one day, a sprout breaks the surface. In time, there is shade, then fruit, then life that sustains others. This is what consistency really looks like. It isn't flashy or fast. It's quiet, repetitive, faith in motion. You show up not because it's easy, but because you believe in the outcome, even if you can't see it yet. Most never reach that sprout. They stop watering too soon, abandoning the tree just before it breaks through, never realizing how close they were. So ask yourself honestly, how many things have you walked away from too early? How many goals were just one season away from breakthrough, but you didn't stay long enough to see it? We don't just lose opportunities through failure. We lose them through impatience, by quitting during the silent stages. Every dream has a quiet phase, a waiting room, a place where progress is invisible and belief is all you have. That's where most people give up, but it's also where your roots grow. It's where you grow. And if you can stay through that phase, if you can keep watering even when the soil looks barren, eventually you will rise. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not wrong for wondering when it will pay off. Breakthrough comes only to those who stay long enough to receive it. You can't control how fast the reward arrives, but you can control how long you keep showing up. That choice, that persistence, is your power. Success is rarely about brilliance. It's about endurance. It's not about who starts the fastest, but who keeps walking, who gets up on the 100th try, who stays focused through boredom, frustration, and doubt. The finish line doesn't belong to the most excited. It belongs to the most committed. That's what this journey demands. Loyalty to your purpose over the long haul. So next time you feel like quitting, remember the tree, the roots, the waiting. Don't walk away just because you can't see instant proof. Real growth is happening where you can't see it, inside you. You're building patience, discipline, and mental resilience. And one day, it will all break through. But only if you don't leave too soon. The world has a strange way of yielding to those who refuse to stop knocking. To those who keep showing up, keep trying, keep believing. Even when the door seems shut, even when the room feels empty. Your breakthrough is not a matter of if. It's a matter of whether you'll last long enough for it to arrive. Don't quit before the miracle. Don't stop one season too early. Your future is forming in the unseen, in the slow days, in the steady effort. Stay long enough to meet it. Keep watering, keep showing up. One day the harvest will come because you didn't walk away. You become unstoppable when you stop breaking promises to yourself. Treat each day like it matters, because it does. Success is never just hard work, it's unbroken discipline. And here's the truth. Discipline, like wealth, compounds. One small act of commitment leads to another. One strong decision in the morning carries into the night. But the same is true for laziness. Excuses compound just as quickly, and the longer you feed them, the harder they are to break. One missed day doesn't just cost you a task, it costs you your edge. Picture this. One person trains every day for weeks, then misses a day. They feel the guilt, but they return stronger, sharper. That break becomes a pause, not a collapse. Another person also trains, then skips a day, then another. I'll restart next week, they say. But next week turns into next month, and soon their identity shifts, from consistent to inconsistent. Not from lack of potential, but from small, repeated surrender. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped giving days away? If every morning you woke up and declared, "This day counts," how much would shift? You don't need perfection. You need presence. Not for a year, not forever, just today. Because today is where everything begins, and where everything can break. The version of you that you're trying to build doesn't arrive in one moment. He's built in the days others throw away, in the minutes no one values, in the choices no one applauds. One missed day isn't just lost time. It's a crack in your identity. You told yourself you'd show up and didn't. That break weakens not only your schedule, but your trust. And the most powerful force you carry is self-trust. So when you slip, seal it immediately. Don't negotiate. Don't delay. Don't wait until Monday. Begin again, stronger. Because one act of discipline, right after failure, builds resilience. That's how you stop the unraveling. And here's the final truth. One break can break everything, but one act of discipline can restart it all. Momentum doesn't demand perfection. It demands direction, the decision to keep showing up even after a misstep. The difference between winners and quitters isn't flawless execution, but the ability to recover quickly and decisively. If you fall, stand up. Don't look back. Don't excuse it. Begin again, right now. Because today counts, especially when you're tired. Train your spirit to lead. Your body will ache, your muscles will protest, and your mind will invent 1,000 excuses. Not today. It can wait. You deserve rest. Yes, sometimes rest is needed. But more often, it's not your body asking. It's your comfort speaking. In those moments, don't listen to the noise. Let your spirit take the wheel. True strength isn't about feeling powerful. It's about acting powerfully, especially when you feel weak. When your legs shake, lungs burn, and motivation disappears, that's when your spirit must rise. Strength is not the absence of struggle. It's choosing to act in spite of it. Most people let tiredness dictate their choices. They wait to feel ready, strong, or inspired. But strength doesn't work that way. You decide first, then act, no matter how you feel. If you only train, write, study, or lead when you feel energized, you'll remain inconsistent. Greatness comes from the days you don't want to move, but move anyway. That's where power is built. The moment you push through exhaustion is the moment your power expands. Fatigue may feel like the end, but often it's just the beginning. There's a deeper energy hidden behind the wall of tiredness. Cross it, and you'll find the body follows when the spirit leads. That's the real secret to endurance. It's not just physical, it's mental and spiritual. Picture this. Someone walks through the door after a long day. Work drained them. Their back aches. Their mind whispers, skip it. Tomorrow will be better. But instead, they train, they write a page, they show up for a loved one. Not because they had energy, but because they chose to lead. Slowly, that choice becomes identity. They turn into someone even fatigue cannot stop. That kind of strength isn't inherited, it's earned. Earned in silence, in solitude, in sweat. Built in the hours when most people quit, when comfort calls the loudest, and you respond with discipline. When the body resists but the spirit insists, we go. Those unseen moments shape everything others admire. Ask yourself, are you letting moods dictate your movement? If the answer is yes, remember this. You're not broken, you're simply untrained. Your spirit hasn't yet learned to command, but it can. And when it does, you'll stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it through will and consistency. You don't wait for energy, you generate it. Every time you act while tired and still move, you break the chain of limitation. You tell your body, you don't decide. We do. That's the essence of real discipline. Not motivation, not inspiration, but ownership. Ownership of your choices, your identity, your life. There is already a version of you that's unshakable, disciplined, and consistent. But that version won't appear in comfort. It shows itself in struggle. When you refuse to let fatigue dictate your story, when you stop surrendering to the easy path and step onto the harder one. Not because you want to, but because you must. That's where strength is born. Life will never line up perfectly. Circumstances will never be effortless. The truth is, life will always test you, stretch you, and push you. But you can become the person who doesn't sway with the wind, who rises in the storm, who keeps moving not because it's simple, but because their spirit demands it. That is what makes someone unshakable. When you reach the point where you act regardless of mood, when you train without energy, create without applause, and lead without recognition, you unlock a rare kind of power. You tap into a fire comfort could never give, and you carry that fire everywhere you go. Every room feels it. Every challenge fears it. So don't ask for comfort. Don't wait for ease. Ask for strength. Practice strength. Move when it's hard. Lead when you're tired. Teach your spirit to lead. Because the world may never get easier, but you can always get stronger. strong enough to carry yourself through chaos, strong enough to rise when others fall, strong enough to become the person you promised yourself you would be. If you wait until it's easy, you'll be waiting forever. Comfort is the enemy of progress. It whispers lies. Just wait a little longer. You're told you're not ready, that things will soon be easier. But comfort doesn't build anything. It only protects what already exists. Many never begin because they keep waiting for clarity, for fear to fade, for the perfect conditions. But time doesn't create courage. Action does. The right time isn't a date on the calendar. It's the moment you stop letting emotions decide your future. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll waste your whole life. Progress is born only when you step forward before comfort arrives. What you call hard now isn't a wall, it's a gate. And gates don't open with hope. They open when you push, when you try, even without knowing what lies on the other side. That pressure you feel isn't a signal to quit. It's the signal to begin. Resistance means you're close to the new version of yourself, the one revealed only through struggle. You will never discover your full capacity standing still. Discomfort is the path that uncovers what you're truly capable of. Obstacles aren't dead ends. They're tests that earn you the next level. And the truth is, most breakthroughs in life don't arrive when everything feels easy. They happen in the middle of your doubt, your fear, your uncertainty. That's when the lessons cut deepest and stay forever. When you train tired, learn while confused, or lead despite fear, growth becomes real. It becomes earned. Waiting for comfort only steals your chance to uncover your own strength, because strength isn't revealed when life is easy. It's built under pressure. That's where confidence is forged. That's where resilience grows. And that's exactly where most people quit, right before it gets real. Now, imagine someone who only practices when everything aligns. When the sun shines, the schedule is free, and the mood is perfect. That person may improve, but slowly. Now picture another person. They train while exhausted, study while overwhelmed, and keep going through confusion and fear. Who do you think grows faster? Who lasts longer? Who becomes unshakable? The answer is clear. Growth isn't just about effort. It's about when and how that effort is applied. Applied in difficulty, it multiplies. You must act before you feel ready, because readiness isn't the starting point. It's the result. It follows action, not the other way around. You don't wait for clarity to move. You move, and clarity arrives. Courage always comes before certainty. And if you keep waiting to feel sure, you'll miss the very experience that would have made you strong. Every master was once uncertain. Every leader once doubted themselves. The difference is, they moved anyway. They didn't wait for confidence. They built it. So ask yourself, how long have you been waiting? How many times have you said, not now? How many dreams have you delayed under the banner of maybe later? But is it patience or is it fear? Are you waiting for the path to clear, or are you avoiding the discomfort of starting in the dark? Be honest, because the longer you wait, the heavier the dream becomes. Delay turns into regret, and regret always weighs more than effort. If you keep waiting for ease, life will pass you by. Others with less talent, less experience, and fewer resources will move ahead, simply because they had the courage to start before they were ready. They didn't need perfect conditions. They needed action. And in moving, they grew. They stumbled, adjusted, adapted, and with every step, they widened the gap between themselves and those still standing still. Remember this: success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who go. Do it when it's hard. That's when it counts. Anyone can act when the path is smooth. Few act when it's uncertain. But those who do become unstoppable. They build grit, gather momentum, and earn self-respect. Not because they had all the answers, but because they dared to begin. And once you begin, everything else follows. Strength, wisdom, clarity, progress. All of it starts after the first step. So don't let another week slip away. Don't keep rehearsing dreams in your mind while others live theirs out loud. Don't let comfort rob you of your future. The world doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause. The gate you're facing won't open on its own. Push, step, begin. Even if you tremble, especially then. That's where your real life begins. Not in ease, but in effort. You must become the person who earns the result. Everyone wants the reward. They want the finish line, the recognition, the wealth, the influence. But few are willing to become the kind of person who truly earns it. Success isn't handed to you. It isn't won by accident. It's not luck or timing, it's alignment. You don't stumble into greatness. You grow into it. Real, lasting success doesn't chase the unprepared. It gravitates toward those who paid the price in silence, those who worked long before the spotlight. The truth is, you don't just receive success, you rise to meet it. Discipline, confidence, and strength don't appear overnight. They're not gifts you're born with. They are forged in habits, earned in repetition, built brick by brick, day after day. You say you want strength? Then lift when you feel weak. You want confidence? Speak when you're afraid. You want discipline? Move when it's inconvenient. These qualities aren't goals. They're byproducts, born when you stop waiting and start becoming. You say you want freedom, the freedom to choose your future, to earn more, to live more, to be more. But do your actions reflect responsibility? Freedom isn't the absence of structure. It's the reward of structure. You say you want opportunity, to be ready when the moment comes. But do your daily choices show preparation? Success doesn't respond to your hopes. It responds to your habits. You can't expect a king's reward with a beggar's work ethic. You can't expect a breakthrough if you haven't earned it through your own effort. The world will not simply hand you success. It will test you. It will ask if you are truly worthy of what you seek. It won't be cruel, but it will be clear. Pressure will come, not to destroy you, but to see if you break. Rewards will be delayed to see if you quit. You'll be tested again and again, not because life wants to hold you back, but because it's making sure your character can carry the weight of your desire. And most people fail, not from lack of talent, but from lack of growth. Picture this. One person begs for success. They set big goals, post motivational quotes, and make declarations. But when life gets uncomfortable, they disappear. They skip. They stall. Meanwhile, another person says nothing. They don't beg, they build. Every day, they show up. Quietly. They train. They write. They study. And when the time comes, success finds them. Why? Because they've become the kind of person success naturally belongs to. They didn't just want it, they earned it. So ask yourself, are you chasing success, or are you becoming someone who earns it? There's a world of difference. One chases the result. The other becomes the cause. One waits for permission. The other creates a mission. One complains about fairness. The other builds a life so strong that fairness no longer matters. Don't just want the outcome, become the reason it happens. Your job isn't to wait for results. Your job is to train for them. Most people sit still and hope for change, hope a door opens, hope someone notices. But success doesn't respond to hope, it responds to habits. And habits are built in silence, when no one is clapping, when you keep going without applause. Your consistency must outlast your motivation. Results are earned in the moments when continuing feels like the hardest choice, and you do it anyway. Consistency isn't glamorous, it isn't loud, but it's the only path to transformation. You don't become extraordinary by doing what's convenient. You rise by showing up when it isn't. That's the real test. Can you keep going when it's cold, quiet, and hard? Can you lead yourself when no one is watching? Most people quit there, but that's exactly where the great ones separate. It's not luck, it's loyalty to the process. Don't ask, will I succeed? That's the wrong question. Ask instead, am I becoming the person who deserves success? Am I becoming reliable, disciplined, focused, unshakable? Because once you become that person, success isn't a matter of if, but when. When you do the inner work, the outer results eventually align. Life works not by chance, but by cause and effect. Become the cause. Goals mean nothing if you don't grow into them. You can dream, you can write visions, you can speak affirmations, but without actions that match the identity you want, nothing changes. The universe doesn't respond to fantasy. It responds to faith in motion. And action is what builds momentum. That's how doors open. That's how opportunities find you, because you've already made yourself ready. So here's the final truth. The gap between who you are and what you want will never close by waiting or wishing. It closes only when you start acting like the version of yourself who deserves it. Stop asking life to reward your potential. Start giving it reasons to reward your preparation. Earn it, not once, but daily. Over time, success won't appear as a surprise, but as a reflection of who you've become. What you repeat, you become. Repetition isn't just a way to learn. It's the mechanism of becoming. Every action you repeat is a brushstroke on the canvas of your identity. You may think you're only practicing a skill, but in truth, you're shaping your character. One action done once is just an event. Done 1,000 times, it becomes part of who you are. Repetition isn't powerful because it excites, but because it transforms. You're not just training your hands or your body, you're training your identity. Your hands learn to build, write, lift, or create. Your mind learns to focus, to understand, to persist. And your character, your inner world, is shaped by the choices you repeat every single day. Choose discipline often enough, and it becomes your nature. Choose delay often enough, and that becomes your pattern. Most people underestimate repetition. They chase novelty. They crave variety. They want to feel something new. But mastery isn't found in variety. It's forged in repetition. In doing one thing, not once or twice, but hundreds, even thousands of times, it begins to feel like breathing, effortless, unconscious. Until you don't just do it, you become it. Excellence lives in repetition. Want to be calm? Don't wait for peace to arrive. Practice patience, practice silence, practice breathing through stress. Want to be strong? Don't just talk about strength. Train daily, move your body, push your limits, face resistance, and rise anyway. Want wisdom? Read, reflect, ask questions, learn every single day. These aren't mysteries, they're repetitions, available to anyone willing to commit. Picture this. One person reads a single book on courage. They feel inspired for a moment, but within days, they return to who they were. Why? Because inspiration fades. One exposure is never enough to change you. Now imagine someone else. They read daily. They reflect, underline, apply. They discuss it, write about it, practice it. Slowly, courage stops being theory. It becomes their reality. Not because they read more, but because they repeated more. The secret isn't doing more, it's doing with consistency. One step taken every day will always beat 100 taken once. You don't build your body by lifting weights once a month. You don't sharpen focus by meditating twice a year. You don't build a relationship with truth by reading only when you're bored. These things are built through repetition, the quiet, daily choice to return again and again. Ask yourself honestly, what are you repeating today, and do you want to become that? Because whether you notice it or not, you already are. Repeat distraction, and you become unfocused. Repeat complaints, and you grow bitter. But repeat discipline, and you become reliable. Speak with kindness again and again, and you become someone others can trust. Your repetitions are your training, and your training is your transformation. Change doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from small, consistent ones. Quiet, daily decisions that often go unnoticed. You don't change by force. You change by patterns, and patterns come from what you practice most. That's why your habits matter, not for a checklist, but because they shape your identity. What you repeat, you eventually believe about yourself. Thought is important, vision is important, but thought without repetition is like a seed never planted. You can think about focus, discipline, or greatness, but without repeated action, nothing shifts. Thought leads, action builds, repetition transforms. And this is where most people fall short. They start, they try, but they don't stay with it long enough for real change. Repetition requires humility. It isn't glamorous. No one cheers for your 100th quiet rep, but the results are undeniable. The runner who logs miles in the dark wins when the race begins. The reader who learns daily speaks with wisdom when the test comes. The builder who swings the hammer each morning stands on a solid house, while others are still sketching plans. Repetition may be invisible, but its results never are. The real question isn't if repetition is happening. It always is. The question is, what kind? Are you repeatedly skipping? Repeatedly postponing the hard things? Or are you rising early, facing discomfort, telling the truth even when it's hard? Your life is shaped by loops, whether you realize it or not. The key is choosing those loops with intention. Greatness isn't a moment. It's a habit. And habits are rehearsed actions, repeated until they stick, until they become second nature, until they become you. You don't need more goals. You need more reps, more days of showing up, more nights of resisting the urge to quit. Greatness belongs to the one who says, I'll do it again today, even if no one notices. Repetition isn't boring, it's sacred. It's how the world changes. It's how a student becomes a scholar, how a warrior becomes a leader, how an ordinary man becomes extraordinary. He picks one thing, repeats it, meets resistance, and keeps going, until the resistance breaks, not him. So if you want to transform your life, stop asking for the new. Start repeating what's right. Choose habits as if your future depends on them, because it does. Decide who you want to become, then live that way daily. Not perfectly, but consistently. The people you admire, the ones with strength, clarity, and peace, they weren't born that way. They trained. And you can too. Repeat wisely, because you are becoming whatever you do most. Every habit is a vote, every repetition a brick. Each day you show up is a whisper to the world and to yourself. This is who I am. Keep whispering, keep building, and let repetition shape you into someone remarkable. The truth is timeless. You become what you repeat. Consistency must be law, not a suggestion. Too many treat it like a tool, something they use when it's easy, when motivation is high, when life feels smooth. But the moment things get uncomfortable, they drop it. They start over. They wait. They pause until motivation returns. But if you want to build a life that cannot be shaken, a foundation that holds under pressure, consistency cannot be optional. It must be your law. Not debated, not delayed. It becomes who you are, not just what you do when it's convenient. That means no negotiations, no I'll start Monday, no one-time exceptions, no mood-based decisions. You act not because you feel like it, but because it's required. Your standard isn't set by circumstances. It isn't based on feelings or the opinions of others. It's rooted in identity. You don't need motivation when consistency is your law. You need decision. That decision is what gives you freedom. Freedom most people never taste. When consistency rules, the inner tug-of-war disappears. You no longer waste energy wondering if you should show up. You don't argue with your alarm clock. You don't bargain with yourself. You already know the answer. Should I train? Yes. Should I write? Yes. Should I show up? Always. Because it's not a question. It's who you are. A truth. A law that governs your daily life. Picture a builder who wakes every morning, rain or shine, and lays one brick. Some days the bricks are heavy. Some days the sun burns their back. But still, they show up. One brick, then another. A year later, an unbreakable wall stands. Not built overnight, but through daily, silent consistency. Now picture another builder. They lay bricks only when they feel like it. They start strong, then disappear. A year later, nothing but dust and plans remain. Who do you want to be? The one with the unbreakable wall, or the one still dreaming? The one who shows up, or the one who breaks promises to themselves? Nothing lasting is built on ease alone. Discipline builds what emotion cannot. Brick by brick, day by day. Not loud, not flashy, just steady. That's how progress forms. That's how success becomes inevitable. So ask yourself, do you live by discipline or by impulse? Are your actions guided by values or moods? Do you train when it's cold, create when you're tired, move forward when your mind gives you 100 reasons to quit? These questions decide your future. Over time, your actions shape not only your results, but your identity. Every action is a vote, every day a mirror. When consistency becomes law, you stop relying on hype and start relying on habit. And habit builds character. It creates rhythm, quiet momentum that grows stronger the more you honor it. Anyone can act when the path is smooth. Few act when it's uncertain. But those who do become unstoppable. They build grit, gather momentum, and earn self-respect. Not because they had all the answers, but because they dared to begin. And once you begin, everything else follows. Strength, wisdom, clarity, progress. All of it starts after the first step. So don't let another week slip away. Don't keep rehearsing dreams in your mind while others live theirs out loud. Don't let comfort rob you of your future. The world doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause. The gate you're facing won't open on its own. Push, step, begin. Even if you tremble, especially then. That's where your real life begins. Not in ease, but in effort. You must become the person who earns the result. Everyone wants the reward. They want the finish line, the recognition, the wealth, the influence. But few are willing to become the kind of person who truly earns it. Success isn't handed to you. It isn't won by accident. It's not luck or timing, it's alignment. You don't stumble into greatness. You grow into it. Real, lasting success doesn't chase the unprepared. It gravitates toward those who paid the price in silence. Those who worked long before the spotlight. The truth is, you don't just receive success, you rise to meet it. Discipline, confidence, and strength don't appear overnight. They're not gifts you're born with. They are forged in habits, earned in repetition, built brick by brick, day after day. You say you want strength? Then lift when you feel weak. You want confidence? Speak when you're afraid. You want discipline? Move when it's inconvenient. These qualities aren't goals. They're byproducts, born when you stop waiting and start becoming. You say you want freedom, the freedom to choose your future, to earn more, to live more, to be more. But do your actions reflect responsibility? Freedom isn't the absence of structure. It's the reward of structure. You say you want opportunity, to be ready when the moment comes. But do your daily choices show preparation? Success doesn't respond to your hopes. It responds to your habits. You can't expect a king's reward with a beggar's work ethic. You can't expect a breakthrough if you haven't earned it through your own effort. The world will not simply hand you success. It will test you. It will ask if you are truly worthy of what you seek. It won't be cruel, but it will be clear. Pressure will come, not to destroy you, but to see if you break. Rewards will be delayed to see if you quit. You'll be tested again and again, not because life wants to hold you back, but because it's making sure your character can carry the weight of your desire. And most people fail, not from lack of talent, but from lack of growth. Picture this. One person begs for success. They set big goals, post motivational quotes, and make declarations. But when life gets uncomfortable, they disappear. They skip. They stall. Meanwhile, another person says nothing. They don't beg, they build. Every day, they show up. Quietly. They train. They write. They study. And when the time comes, success finds them. Why? Because they've become the kind of person success naturally belongs to. They didn't just want it, they earned it. So ask yourself, are you chasing success, or are you becoming someone who earns it? There's a world of difference. One chases the result. The other becomes the cause. One waits for permission. The other creates a mission. One complains about fairness. The other builds a life so strong that fairness no longer matters. Don't just want the outcome, become the reason it happens. Your job isn't to wait for results. Your job is to train for them. Most people sit still and hope for change, hope a door opens, hope someone notices. But success doesn't respond to hope, it responds to habits. And habits are built in silence, when no one is clapping, when you keep going without applause. Your consistency must outlast your motivation. Results are earned in the moments when continuing feels like the hardest choice, and you do it anyway. Consistency isn't glamorous, it isn't loud, but it's the only path to transformation. You don't become extraordinary by doing what's convenient. You rise by showing up when it isn't. That's the real test. Can you keep going when it's cold, quiet, and hard? Can you lead yourself when no one is watching? Most people quit there, but that's exactly where the great ones separate. It's not luck, it's loyalty to the process. Don't ask, will I succeed? That's the wrong question. Ask instead, am I becoming the person who deserves success? Am I becoming reliable, disciplined, focused, unshakable? Because once you become that person, success isn't a matter of if, but when. When you do the inner work, the outer results eventually align. Life works not by chance, but by cause and effect. Become the cause. Goals mean nothing if you don't grow into them. You can dream, you can write visions, you can speak affirmations, but without actions that match the identity you want, nothing changes. The universe doesn't respond to fantasy. It responds to faith in motion. And action is what builds momentum. That's how doors open. That's how opportunities find you, because you've already made yourself ready. So here's the final truth. The gap between who you are and what you want will never close by waiting or wishing. It closes only when you start acting like the version of yourself who deserves it. Stop asking life to reward your potential. Start giving it reasons to reward your preparation. Earn it, not once, but daily. Over time, success won't appear as a surprise, but as a reflection of who you've become. What you repeat, you become. Repetition isn't just a way to learn. It's the mechanism of becoming. Every action you repeat is a brushstroke on the canvas of your identity. You may think you're only practicing a skill, but in truth, you're shaping your character. One action done once is just an event. Done 1,000 times, it becomes part of who you are. Repetition isn't powerful because it excites, but because it transforms. You're not just training your hands or your body, you're training your identity. Your hands learn to build, write, lift, or create. Your mind learns to focus, to understand, to persist. And your character, your inner world, is shaped by the choices you repeat every single day. Choose discipline often enough, and it becomes your nature. Choose delay often enough, and that becomes your pattern. Most people underestimate repetition. They chase novelty. They crave variety. They want to feel something new. But mastery isn't found in variety. It's forged in repetition. In doing one thing, not once or twice, but hundreds, even thousands of times, it begins to feel like breathing, effortless, unconscious. Until you don't just do it, you become it. Excellence lives in repetition. Want to be calm? Don't wait for peace to arrive. Practice patience, practice silence, practice breathing through stress. Want to be strong? Don't just talk about strength. Train daily, move your body, push your limits, face resistance, and rise anyway. Want wisdom? Read, reflect, ask questions, learn every single day. These aren't mysteries, they're repetitions, available to anyone willing to commit. Picture this. One person reads a single book on courage. They feel inspired for a moment, but within days, they return to who they were. Why? Because inspiration fades. One exposure is never enough to change you. Now imagine someone else. They read daily. They reflect, underline, apply. They discuss it, write about it, practice it. Slowly, courage stops being theory. It becomes their reality. Not because they read more, but because they repeated more. The secret isn't doing more, it's doing with consistency. One step taken every day will always beat 100 taken once. You don't build your body by lifting weights once a month. You don't sharpen focus by meditating twice a year. You don't build a relationship with truth by reading only when you're bored. These things are built through repetition, the quiet, daily choice to return again and again. Ask yourself honestly, what are you repeating today, and do you want to become that? Because whether you notice it or not, you already are. Repeat distraction, and you become unfocused. Repeat complaints, and you grow bitter. But repeat discipline, and you become reliable. Speak with kindness again and again, and you become someone others can trust. Your repetitions are your training, and your training is your transformation. Change doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from small, consistent ones. Quiet, daily decisions that often go unnoticed. You don't change by force. You change by patterns, and patterns come from what you practice most. That's why your habits matter, not for a checklist, but because they shape your identity. What you repeat, you eventually believe about yourself. Thought is important, vision is important, but thought without repetition is like a seed never planted. You can think about focus, discipline, or greatness, but without repeated action, nothing shifts. Thought leads, action builds, repetition transforms. And this is where most people fall short. They start, they try, but they don't stay with it long enough for real change. Repetition requires humility. It isn't glamorous. No one cheers for your 100th quiet rep, but the results are undeniable. The runner who logs miles in the dark wins when the race begins. The reader who learns daily speaks with wisdom when the test comes. The builder who swings the hammer each morning stands on a solid house, while others are still sketching plans. Repetition may be invisible, but its results never are. The real question isn't if repetition is happening. It always is. The question is, what kind? Are you repeatedly skipping? Repeatedly postponing the hard things? Or are you rising early, facing discomfort, telling the truth even when it's hard? Your life is shaped by loops, whether you realize it or not. The key is choosing those loops with intention. Greatness isn't a moment. It's a habit. And habits are rehearsed actions, repeated until they stick, until they become second nature, until they become you. You don't need more goals. You need more reps, more days of showing up, more nights of resisting the urge to quit. Greatness belongs to the one who says, I'll do it again today, even if no one notices. Repetition isn't boring, it's sacred. It's how the world changes. It's how a student becomes a scholar, how a warrior becomes a leader, how an ordinary man becomes extraordinary. He picks one thing, repeats it, meets resistance, and keeps going, until the resistance breaks, not him. So if you want to transform your life, stop asking for the new. Start repeating what's right. Choose habits as if your future depends on them, because it does. Decide who you want to become, then live that way daily. Not perfectly, but consistently. The people you admire, the ones with strength, clarity, and peace, they weren't born that way. They trained. And you can too. Repeat wisely, Because you are becoming whatever you do most. Every habit is a vote, every repetition a brick. Each day you show up is a whisper to the world and to yourself. This is who I am. Keep whispering, keep building, and let repetition shape you into someone remarkable. The truth is timeless. You become what you repeat. Consistency must be law, not a suggestion. Too many treat it like a tool, something they use when it's easy, when motivation is high, when life feels smooth. But the moment things get uncomfortable, they drop it. They start over. They wait. They pause until motivation returns. But if you want to build a life that cannot be shaken, a foundation that holds under pressure, consistency cannot be optional. It must be your law. Not debated, not delayed. It becomes who you are, not just what you do when it's convenient. That means no negotiations, no I'll start Monday, no one-time exceptions, no mood-based decisions. You act not because you feel like it, but because it's required. Your standard isn't set by circumstances. It isn't based on feelings or the opinions of others. It's rooted in identity. You don't need motivation when consistency is your law. You need decision. That decision is what gives you freedom. Freedom most people never taste. When consistency rules, the inner tug-of-war disappears. You no longer waste energy wondering if you should show up. You don't argue with your alarm clock. You don't bargain with yourself. You already know the answer. Should I train? Yes. Should I write? Yes. Should I show up? Always. Because it's not a question. It's who you are. A truth. A law that governs your daily life. Picture a builder who wakes every morning, rain or shine, and lays one brick. Some days the bricks are heavy. Some days the sun burns their back. But still, they show up. One brick, then another. A year later, an unbreakable wall stands. Not built overnight, but through daily, silent consistency. Now picture another builder. They lay bricks only when they feel like it. They start strong, then disappear. A year later, nothing but dust and plans remain. Who do you want to be? The one with the unbreakable wall, or the one still dreaming? The one who shows up, or the one who breaks promises to themselves? Nothing lasting is built on ease alone. Discipline builds what emotion cannot. Brick by brick, day by day. Not loud, not flashy, just steady. That's how progress forms. That's how success becomes inevitable. So ask yourself, do you live by discipline or by impulse? Are your actions guided by values or moods? Do you train when it's cold, create when you're tired, move forward when your mind gives you 100 reasons to quit? These questions decide your future. Over time, your actions shape not only your results, but your identity. Every action is a vote, every day a mirror. When consistency becomes law, you stop relying on hype and start relying on habit. And habit builds character. It creates rhythm, quiet momentum that grows stronger the more you honor it. You don't need drama. You don't need excitement. You only need to act. One task, one decision, one brick at a time. Slowly, the world bends to the strength of your foundation. But every time you skip without reason, every time you excuse yourself, you teach your mind that your word is negotiable. And when your word is weak, your confidence crumbles. But each day you show up, especially when it's hard, you rebuild trust. You remind yourself, I'm solid. I'm disciplined. I don't flinch. Let others wait for motivation. Let them chase inspiration. You don't need it. You have law. You are guided by principle, not preference. You don't train to feel good. You train because that's what strong people do. You don't read to look smart. You read because wisdom compounds. You don't act for applause. You act because it's your standard. It's easy to chase shortcuts, to search for hacks. But there is no shortcut for showing up, no hack for consistency. It's simple, not easy, and that's why it works. Most people won't do it. They'll chase what's shiny. But you'll stick with what works. And over time, the gap between you and them will only grow wider. It won't even be close. You'll watch others start strong and fade. You'll see people quit the moment it gets tough. But you keep going. You lay the brick, you build the wall. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. You do it because your future is worth every ounce of effort. And you do it because you refuse to be ruled by anything weaker than your own decision. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means returning. It means showing up again and again. If you fall, you rise. If you miss, you restart. A stumble is never failure. Stopping is. Your law doesn't demand flawlessness. It demands faithfulness. To your mission, to your goal, to your identity. The strong don't avoid falling. They recover faster. So ask yourself, will you build a life of impulse or intention? Will you keep making excuses, or will you make consistency your law? A year from now, will you look back with regret or with results? The choice is yours. Not once, but every day. Every morning you rise. Every time it gets hard. Every time your mind whispers, "Not today." That's your cue. That's your brick. Make consistency your personal law. No debate, no drama, no delay. Just steady work. Calm, quiet, relentless. Greatness isn't built in a burst, but in rhythm. In showing up when it's hard. In honoring your word when no one's watching. In becoming someone the world cannot shake. Because you've already decided, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I don't break my law. When you master consistency, you master your life. Everything you want, freedom, peace, strength, success, lives on the other side of consistency. Not talent, not luck, not random bursts of inspiration, but the quiet, unseen discipline of showing up every single day. That's the true separator. Anyone can give effort once, or for a week, even a month. But real power belongs to those who keep showing up long after the excitement fades. That's where dreams stop being dreams and start becoming outcomes. And the bridge to those outcomes is consistency. When you master it, you gain control. You're no longer riding the roller coaster of emotions. You don't wait for the right mood. You build rhythms, routines, and habits. You begin living by decision, not impulse. There's no more wasted energy asking, "Will I act today?" You already know the answer. This steady, intentional living sharpens you. It makes you focused, grounded, and quietly powerful in a distracted world. It's never about perfection. It's about presence. You don't need to hit a home run every day. You just need to step up to the plate. Even on the bad days, especially on the bad days, because momentum isn't built on perfection. It's built on persistence. Through small, repeatable actions most people dismiss because they seem too small. But with time, those small steps create everything. Tiny efforts, repeated over and over, become unstoppable movement. Victory doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from ordinary acts, repeated until they become second nature. Consistency is quiet. Often it feels boring. Yet it's the single force that turns average effort into extraordinary results. Think of a musician practicing scales for hours, a fighter drilling the same punch day after day, or a writer sitting down to write even when the words won't come. These people aren't magical, they're consistent. That's their superpower. Greatness doesn't start with talent. It starts with discipline, the refusal to stop, the commitment to rhythm. Over time, consistency builds certainty. Not because you know the outcome, but because you trust yourself to keep showing up no matter what. That trust becomes confidence. And confidence becomes a foundation no storm can shake. Ask yourself this. Where would your life be if you had simply kept going? If you had stuck with one habit every single day for the past year? How different would your body, your focus, your finances, or your relationships look today? Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year of steady progress. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Start now, and don't stop. You don't need to be extraordinary. You don't need rare gifts or special skills. You just need to be consistent. The real difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't talent. It's the ability to keep going, to return to the practice, to wake up and act even when nothing feels exciting. That's the battle. And once you win it, everything else becomes easier. Because when you master consistency, you stop relying on outside motivation and start trusting your own word. You build momentum from within. Your schedule becomes a tool, not a burden. Discipline stops feeling like restriction and turns into freedom. You begin to realize you were never stuck. You were simply inconsistent. Now you move with intention, and when you act consistently, you gain mastery over your time. You no longer waste hours wondering what to do. You already know. No scrambling, no panic, just daily execution, one block at a time. That control brings peace, and peace is power. It gives you space to think, create, and grow without chaos. Consistency also helps you master your thoughts. You stop believing every doubt that drifts into your mind. Instead, you've trained yourself to follow through, no matter the fear. Each time you act in spite of resistance, you prove that purpose always outweighs emotion. Over time, this builds a quiet, unstoppable confidence. Acting consistently lets you master your outcomes. Progress is no longer a surprise. It's the return on your effort. In the gym, in business, in habits, or in mindset, steady effort turns invisible work into visible results. You start creating things that last because they were forged over time, not in short bursts. But the greatest reward is this. When you act consistently, you master yourself. The world will always be noisy, people will doubt you, and circumstances will test you. But when you've trained to keep going despite the noise, you become unshakable. You stop waiting for better conditions, you create them. You stop hoping for discipline, you become it. That kind of self-mastery transforms your entire life. Consistency isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. The disciplined person grows strong, not only in body but in mind. The consistent learner becomes wise, not just in knowledge, but in judgment. The steady builder becomes successful, not only in wealth, but in meaning. Each day you repeat the right action, you cast a vote for the person you want to be, and in time, that vote shapes your identity. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Begin now, begin tired, messy, or uncertain, but begin consistently. The path doesn't reward those who sprint and stop. It rewards those who move forward daily. You may not feel fast, but you'll always be moving true. Over time, truth outlasts speed. So today, make a small decision. One habit, one action. Then repeat it tomorrow and the next day. And when it gets hard, repeat again. That's where real change lies, not in noise, but in rhythm, in the quiet beat of daily action. With time, that beat becomes your anthem, and that anthem becomes your life. Everything you want is waiting for the person you're becoming. The real question is, will you show up enough times to meet it? You don't need to rush, you just need to repeat. Because once you become consistent, everything changes. Consistency is not a gift, it's a daily decision. So start now, step up, and push forward. When it gets hard, remember, the future you want is already waiting on the other side of your discipline. Stay consistent, and the world will have no choice but to respect your results. Wishing you health, happiness, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Mindset Daily.